Hey, it's Paris. You know I love sparkly things, right? Like stars. Duh. And thanks to Hilton and AutoCamp, I just slept under them. Picture me, serving looks by the fire outside my luxurious Airstream, making s'mores with the kids, while a national park is our backdrop. The great outdoors meets Hilton hospitality. That's hot. Explore all the new ways to stay at Hilton.com. Hilton for the stay.
This Steve Jones Show podcast is now loading. The Steve Jones Show podcast is presented by Sunbury Motor Company, Purdy Insurance, and Brewers Outlet. Bringing you an in-depth look at Penn State sports and more. This is the Steve Jones Show on News Radio 1070 WKOK. The Steve Jones Show is presented by Brewers Outlet, Sunbury Motor Company, and Purdy Insurance. Now from the Sunbury Motor Studio, here's Steve Jones.
And we welcome everyone back to the show. This half hour being brought to you by Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Ford Kia Hyundai, best of new inventory. Great pre-owned inventory with the Sunbury Motors guarantee. Sunbury Motors with a great service department. Great service department that takes care of quick lane inspections, routine, difficult, all at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. We bring in the outstanding Adam Rittenberg. Adam, welcome. It's so great to hear you back.
Good to be with you, man. How you doing?
Great. It's really great. So Tony Petitti is holding firm on his idea. And I always give people credit. I mean, I know you can borrow ideas and shape it into your own, but I give him credit for at least thinking outside the box. When he talked about the playoff idea, what is it about the idea that has him so enamored that he wants to stand firm with it?
Right. Well, again, I think that Tony looks at it, somewhat through a pro sports lens. And in pro sports, everything leads into the postseason, and you have increasing playoffs with more opportunities and more teams and fan bases that are engaged all the way until the end of the regular season. I think the hard thing that what he's seeing in college football is that it's been a sport where people have generally been fine with most teams being out of it, in some cases very early in the season, that you don't go into the month of November with, 8 or 12 or 20 fan bases that still have a chance. And so he has a hard time, with why others don't see it his way, that, hey, this will keep so many people more engaged. We'll have a incredible weekend, not just a game of Big Ten. I mean, you were obviously calling the Penn State Oregon game in Indianapolis, for the Big Ten championship, which was a really fun game. But we knew that both teams were going to the college football playoff. There was no drama there. So, these other games, which would occur on Big Ten campuses, would have that drama in some cases, especially the road teams. They would have to win to have any chance to get into the playoff. And Tony sees that as a great opportunity. And, obviously there are other areas that it would benefit from media rights and revenue for those schools. But he really believes that having more teams involved to have a chance for the playoff is better. And it would, take this non-conference schedule burden off, which, again, I understand that. I have beaten the drum for better scheduling in college football forever. But I understand where the Big Ten is coming from, having two consecutive national champions that did not challenge themselves in the non-conference, and then seeing the SEC's continued resistance to increasing the number of conference games up to where the Big Ten and the Big 12 are. So as much as I hate to see it, because I don't think it serves the fans, I understand why the Big Ten is, in Indiana and others are avoiding these types of, somewhat marquee non-conference games.
Yeah, because Indiana announced that they're not going to they play their series with Virginia, I believe. I think they announced the buyout of that. So is it possible, I don't know if this was brought up with Tony or not, but if the SEC and the Big Ten were to come to some sort of agreement that there would still be on the table the idea of the two conferences playing each other in a number of games in the non-con?
Well, I think that would be something that they would discuss if the schedules were uniform. I mean, the Big Ten's not going to play the SEC in some type of cross-league invitational when the total number of games against Power 4 opponents is different. So if the SEC can get to 9 games, and then both teams, both leagues are probably more interested in talking about that type of agreement, which again would be great for college football. And we haven't had a lot of Big Ten SEC regular season crossovers. There was a stretch where we had them in those early season neutral site games. Penn State obviously played Alabama and Auburn, which is great. Wisconsin's playing Alabama this year, and they've been one of the more aggressive teams in the Big Ten in terms of scheduling the SEC. But for the most part, we haven't seen a lot of crossover games between those leagues. Even though this year we do get Ohio State, Texas, which is great, and then Michigan going to Oklahoma.
Right, yeah, and of course Texas and Ohio State open the season. So when it's all said and done, where is he with Greg Sankey right now? Because no offense, it doesn't really matter where he is with Jim Phillips or Brett Yormark. Where is he with Greg Sankey right now, and how open is the line of communication between the two?
Well, I can tell you how open it is, Steve, because I was talking with Tony Petitti. We kind of finished our interview and just kind of talking about a few things off the record, and he looks at his phone, and Greg Sankey's calling him. So the communication is there. They talk a lot and about a lot of different things, not just the college football playoff format. They've obviously were involved in the formation of the new CSC and some of the things that are going on, globally with college sports. So it's not as though this disagreement or just different positions is creating a rift between Tony and Greg. They are very much, in constant communication. But at the end of the day, if Tony does not sound like a guy to me, the way he presented himself in Vegas, that is going to back down from this playoff model significantly. And Greg has outlined his position, which again may have changed a little bit coming out of their spring meeting. So unless somebody comes up with a different idea, or there is truly a spirit of compromise, I don't think this thing is going to get to 16 teams in 2026. I think it's going to remain at 12, which again is fine. Like the 12-team playoff with the proper seeding, Steve, is fine. Yep. And it's so unlike college sports to take so long to get to a new playoff model and then want to change it a year later. That's just not how it works around here. Usually it takes too long to get changes through. And you got this one, and I think it was still a mostly successful postseason that has a chance to be even better with the straight seeding. And we're already, getting worked up about 16 teams in different formats, and are we going to get there?
But you know what? I agree with you. The proper seeding, 12 works just fine, and I understand that. But it's interesting you talk about the SEC and how the coaches felt, in which they were talking about 5 plus 11. Yet I also get the impression, and tell me if I'm wrong about this, that they're not enamored with the committee, especially Alabama and South Carolina not getting in. 5 plus 11 leaves 11 committee opinions, as opposed to Tony's with a 16 and with a 16-team playoff. Tony's leaves 3 opinions. Isn't that appealing to the SEC?
Yeah, no, you would think. I mean, I think they believe that they're, even at an 8-game conference schedule, their strength of schedule and some of the other data would be convincing to that committee to put more SEC teams in as at-larges. And if it was a 16-team playoff last year, the SEC would have been more represented than it was in the 12-team playoff with only 3 teams. So I think they believe, yes, in some cases last year, maybe, in their mind, maybe an SEC team should have gotten in over Indiana, but with 16 teams, there's no way that they're going to be left out some of those non-conference champions, non-teams playing in the SEC championship. So, but yeah, the Big Ten and Tony Petitti made it very clear that while he respects the selection committee, he does not believe it's the best way to figure out a playoff field, especially an expanding one.
How important does the month of November become if his idea goes into play? Because now I would think you'd have maybe teams 4 through 8 in the Big Ten vying for those last spots.
Right, and even more. I mean, Tony wants a system where there's, half the league at least can go into the month of November knowing that it has a chance. And, that's how it is in pro sports. And whether that's right or wrong for college football, we can certainly debate. I made my opinion to him pretty clear and said, hey, Tony, I get it, but this is not a sport where 8-4 is celebrated, at least to a postseason perspective and a playoff perspective. So it is different. But I think from his perspective, let's get everybody engaged in this process and have a real pennant race. I mean, again, this guy came from MLB, which I'm an old San Francisco Giants fan. I still remember the 1993 season where they won more than 100 games and got left out. Like, MLB has changed. MLB has expanded, and there's more spots for wild card teams. This is essentially a larger wild card system, like the MLB or NFL or really all the pro sports. And so, are we going to get there? Who knows? But that's certainly what he wants to see happen. And again, it makes sense when you're talking about a league with 18 members and 3 major television partners, to be able to have them fully involved in that lead up to the playoff, which, again, for now and for the foreseeable future is with a non-television partner, my employer. So that you can't ignore any of those factors in this process.
Excuse me, San Francisco Giants fan, but in 2014, you won a one-game playoff over Pittsburgh 4-0 when Crawford hit a grand slam and they beat the Pirates. Oh, and went on to win the World Series over the other team that won a one-game playoff over the A's, the Kansas City Royals. So yes, you could come out of the maze and still win.
That's right, but I'm still ticked off at the Colorado Rockies, who were basically an expansion team.
Yes,
I think they went 0-21 against the Braves, and that was back when the Braves and the Giants were in the same division. It was very much the Big Ten. Like, why are the Braves and Giants in the same division? Why are Washington and Penn State in the same conference? But the Rockies couldn't win one freaking game against the Braves, and then the Giants missed the playoffs by a single game. It was brutal. Never get over that.
Oh, it's 78. I'm a Red Sox fan. I still see Bucky Dent. So, come on. Adam, was it one last one that I know I have to let you go. Was there any other quick storyline that came out of the Big Ten meetings in Las Vegas that intrigued you?
Well, yeah, I think for your listeners, I liked James Franklin's demeanor when I spoke with him. Understanding what's at stake this year, and understanding that he has seemingly everything in place to make a run for a Big Ten championship and a national title. I think that certainly came through. I think there's I think the Big Ten's middle section is going to be really interesting to watch, because last year it was such a stratified league with the 4 playoff teams. Illinois kind of came on at the end, but there was a real gap for most of the season between the top 4 and everyone else. I don't think that's going to be the case in terms of that middle section. They have a chance to be stronger. Illinois, Indiana, Iowa's a team to watch. Maybe USC will improve. Nebraska has a really favorable schedule and a pretty good roster coming back. I think Washington is a team no one's really talking about. So it's going to be fascinating, Steve, beyond a fairly clear top 3 of Penn State, Ohio State, Oregon, in whatever order you have them. That next group, are they able to push for playoff spots? And can the Big Ten once again have at least 4 in this 12-team playoff this fall?
Appreciate it always, Adam. I know you carved out some time for us today, and I truly appreciate it. Thanks so much. Have a great one.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
The great Adam Rittenberg joining us on the show today, brought to you by our good friends at Sunbury Motors, 4th Street in Sunbury. Sunbury Motors Kia, routes 11 and 15 in Hummel's Wharf, and online at sunburymotors.com. Here on News Radio 1070 WKOK.
Party time, game time, or just fun time. Doesn't matter what time it is, because it's Brewers Outlet time. The beverage supermarket has the area's largest beer selection. Imports, microbrews, ciders, and domestics. Pick from over 100 ice-cold 12-packs and dozens of 24-ounce singles. Soda, snacks, hot sauces, fresh roasted peanuts. Make it one-stop party shopping, and don't forget the pickle bar. So whatever you're celebrating or just doing it up, Brewers Outlet, Reagan Street, Sunbury wants to see you. And thank you for your years of patronage.
Sunbury Motors Ford is turning up the heat with the hottest deals of the summer at the North 4th Street Auto Plaza in Sunbury. Get behind the wheel of a brand new 2025 Ford Escape, over $6,800 off on select models. That's right, starting at just $24,975. Wow! A brand new SUV for under $25,000. Or take the road in a brand new Ford Explorer, now at the lowest price of the year, only $37,795. And check this out. They've got 26 Ford F-150s, America's best-selling truck, with savings close to $13,000. Yours from just $48,569. Want even more? How about 0% APR for 48 months on most models? These deals won't last. Head to Sunbury Motors Ford on North 4th Street in Sunbury. Or visit sunburymotors.com before they're gone.